I am Latasha Scurry, your domesticated diva. Welcome to Wednesday Night Whispers. In 2021, 1 in 6 deaths from cardiovascular disease was due to stroke. Every 40 seconds, someone in the United States had a stroke. Every 3 minutes and 14 seconds, someone dies of stroke. Every year, more than 795,000 people in the United States have a stroke. About 610,000 of these are first or new strokes. About 185,000 strokes, nearly 1 in 4, are in people who have had a previous stroke. May is not just Physical Fitness Month. It is also Stroke Awareness Month. Tonight, my guest is celebrating her stroke-versary as well as appreciating life. She is a wife and mother of 3, has been teaching at Washington Prep High School for 17 years, a member of Black Girls Run Los Angeles since 2014, celebrated stroke-versary in March of 2015, the reason why we are here. Co-leader of WPHS student-run Los Angeles group for the past 5 years. Just returned from Canton, Ohio, where she competed in a half marathon. Please welcome Shirl Van Der Plas. Yay!
Hi, how are you?
How are you tonight?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, you are highly recommended. And I think this is just befitting. May is Stroke Awareness Month. And
before you go, I did not know that. That was some new information. I knew about the physical fitness, but not stroke awareness. So this is fortuitous.
I don't want to take any thunder from you. I am just excited and elated to hear your story. So tell us a little background about yourself.
As you said, I'm a wife and mother of 3. I have 3 beautiful children, 2 bookend boys with a girl in the middle. Love them all. I considered myself a fit person. Back in 2015, I had started running with Black Girls Run. In 2014, I had started doing half marathons, probably about once a year. Wasn't running seriously or anything like that, but considered myself in really good shape. And had started to lose some weight in January and thought I was looking fit and awesome. And I went through March. And in March, I was down in San Diego for a 15K race, hot chocolate. And I woke up, got ready with a friend of mine who was traveling with me. And all of a sudden, the room shifted a little bit. And I couldn't figure out why. And so we started doing our old country doctor thing. And, maybe I need a little air. Maybe I need a little water. Maybe we did everything wrong. And they say that God protects children and fools. And he protected this fool because I did everything wrong. I ate and drank. I tried to do things, again, our country doctor moment. And then I said, well, let me go get ready for the race and I'll do it. And if I don't feel well, I'll come back to the room and lay down. Again, everything wrong. There's medical tents out there at the race. Why would I come back to the room if I wasn't feeling well?
Okay.
So we did, and I went down and did the race. My friend said that walking towards the race, I was looking like Mr. Magoo because I kept putting my hands out because I was having an issue with my distance, with my vision. Okay. And so I went and finished the race, and throughout the race, I stayed away from...
Wait a minute. Did you say you ran the race?
I finished the race. Yes, I did everything wrong. I told you, children and fools. So I went and finished the race, but throughout the race, I would remove myself from people because all of a sudden, the girls knew I wasn't feeling well. And all of a sudden someone would speak and I would jump because I didn't have peripheral vision to know that they had been walking next to me or running next to me for a bit. And I didn't have that feeling, when people are next to you and feeling, I didn't have it because I couldn't see. And
Okay.
so they would start talking and I would jump. And so finally I just stayed way away from everyone. And with my hands started testing the boundaries of where I could see, which my friends who were behind me were like, you looked crazy, like just out there by yourself doing your hands. I finally said, I don't feel well still after the race was over, drank my hot chocolate and just said, I still don't feel well. I need to go home. So
Okay.
we drove past umpteen hospitals from San Diego to Los Angeles, children and fools. And I called my husband as we were coming to LA and he yelled at me a little bit, but I was like, okay, I know, but I need you to drive me to the hospital. And he drove me up to UCLA. And immediately when I told them what happened, the on-call doctor at the ER said, we think you've had a stroke. And I was like, no, because I told my husband, grab my hands. I said, am I losing any motor function? As my face drooped, I haven't lost consciousness. Like I went through the checks that I knew at the time, and none of those had happened. We tested my arms, we tested my speech, all of that. None of that had happened. I had not lost any physical strength or consciousness.
But you sound
So
like you have some history, like some knowledge of stroke. Do you know someone else who had a stroke? How do
not
you
of
have so much?
strokes, but I'm a medical kid. My dad's a doctor. My mom's was a nurse, and then
Oh,
she's a
okay.
medical malpractice attorney. So I
Okay.
have a little medical knowledge under my belt.
Okay. That makes sense.
So
I'm like,
I
she's
knew a bit about the signs because you see the commercials, you see the things when I would go see them at the hospital or when I was typing out case notes for my dad, things like
okay.
that. So I have a little bit of medical knowledge from being around them from birth.
Okay.
So I knew a little bit, but I did. I even stuck my tongue out from watching ER, the TV show. So I stuck my tongue out to make sure it went
Yeah.
straight out, not to any
Right.
rights or lefts. I did
Right.
all of that stuff. So no, nothing, And so we're like, yeah, she's crazy. She doesn't know. Until I did a CT scan and she brought the CT and was like, there's your clot. So yes, you had a stroke. And my husband disliked that poor female doctor who did nothing to him except be the person who showed us the stroke. He disliked her the rest of my hospital just for being the bearer of the bad news. So I was in UCLA for 9 days. They were trying to figure out where the stroke came from. It turned out I had a thing called low ejection fraction, which meant the bottom of my heart, instead of beating, instead of it compressing at about 55 to 60% is what they're looking for. Mine was at 25%.
Whoa.
So evidently the adrenaline rush that caused my heart to compress also sent a blood clot, since it was pooling at the bottom of my heart because the squeeze was so low that blood was pooling in the bottom of my heart. Adrenaline, getting ready for the race, being excited about it, was what they believe sent the clot up. And there I was.
And so you didn't have any prior history of heart disease or anything like that?
Had high blood pressure, but they said
Yeah.
my high blood pressure didn't have anything to do with this onset and this particular stroke. Many years later, they noticed that I had both of my caps were infected. So initially, they thought that a flu virus might have been what affected my heart and created the low ejection fraction issue. Later, they believed that the bacterial infection from the caps may have been what got into my bloodstream and affected my heart. So please go to the dentist today if you have not
Oh my
been.
gosh, because my dentist wants to redo a crown and I keep putting it off. My teeth don't hurt or anything, so I've just been putting it off.
There is a huge correlation between dental health and heart disease. So please, because the things from our mouth get into our bloodstreams and we don't realize it. And there's a direct correlation between poor dental health and poor cardiovascular health.
Okay, you are educating me today. You are really educating, and you're scaring me because now you need to go talk to my dentist, the one who keeps saying you need to replace those 2 crowns. They've been on there for a long time.
Correct.
But I'm like, they don't hurt. No food is getting trapped because I floss.
Oh, there was no pain at all. There was nothing. But that, unfortunately, they had both underneath the crowns gone bad until I got to my current dentist. Thank you, Bo McDonald. But when I got to my current dentist,
Wow.
she did the x-rays and found that no other dentist had said that to me before. But I didn't go during COVID. I put everything off during COVID. And by the time I got there, unfortunately, the damage had been well done. It was in my gums, and my gums, once they, I thought it looked healthy, but it turned out to be my gums were swollen, which was creating that healthy look. Once I received the dental care that I needed and had needed for a moment, it turned out that my gums were just messed up. My dentist has now given me this lovely bonding so that my smile is back, because it was gone for about 6 to 8 months. And no one go back and look at any of my old Facebook pictures, please. But she has returned my smile, so I'm at a full face smile. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, dental health, please go every 6 months. Please, please, please get your checkups. They want you to get anything replaced, have anything looked at. Please, please, please. Dental health is so attached to
Okay,
heart and
everybody,
cardiovascular health.
hear that. She is celebrating and appreciating life because someone gave her the knowledge, and I would have never made the correlation between your dental health and your heart. So we're learning something new here today, and I am just really thankful that I'm having this conversation. Thank you, Lucretia Lomax, for introducing me. So now you have covered most of the first few questions I was going to ask you. But I want to know, what was the recovery like for you have had in a stroke?
Okay, so they told me whatever, they checked the vision. They told me whatever vision I had in 6 months is the vision that I would have. And so I did not regain my peripheral vision, which not only affects, I lost the left peripheral in both eyes. So that's not only affected, there's a little bit of, the lower periphery that you can't see because the left was lost. So I have to be very careful about things that are right directly in front of me. For about a month, so I could get used to my vision, they stopped me from driving. But thank goodness they allowed that back, because being driven around is no fun. I commiserate with anyone who has lost.
I don't like to drive, so
I thought it would be amazing, but like once a month was in, I was like, but the road is out there, so I think I can do it again. So it was a slow road to me driving back. They took me off the pavement, so I was not allowed to run. And I had just been finally chosen to do this Nike women's half that I really wanted to do in San Francisco, that I had been applying for 3 solid years. And they chose me that year. So I thought it was a sign I was going to get back on the pavement, and it was not.
Wait a minute. I keep hearing you saying half. I don't know if people are familiar. A half marathon is 13 miles.
Correct. 13.1. A full marathon is 26.2 miles. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because over here in Disney, they have something called the Goofy, where you do both.
Well, they also have the Dopey, which I did this year for the first time. And it's a Thursday, you do a 5K, which is 3.1 miles.
Yes.
Then on Friday, you do a 10K, which is 6.2 miles. On Saturday, you do a half marathon, which is 13.1 miles. And then on Sunday, you do a marathon, which is 26.2 miles.
So they call it the Dopey because you need dope when you're done?
Because you are dopey to do it. So that picture that's behind you, that's me with Dopey, is
yes, I saw that. Yeah, I saw it.
That's me in Florida during Dopey.
Oh no, thank you. I had a former principal that kept saying, "Hey, you ought to come do this with me." No, I don't. No,
Oh no, one and done. I'm good. One and done. Now the picture that's up behind you, where I'm laying on the bed with that hot chocolate medal, that is silly me post-stroke. I had just had the stroke that morning, and that's me after the race, laying on the bed saying, "I finished my race."
Oh no. Oh no.
So they took me off the pavement. I was not allowed to race because I wasn't allowed to take my heart above a certain level. I had to wear a defibrillator, an outside defibrillator for approximately 6 months. It was a battery pack one, and it was a vest that I had to wear until I had the ICD implanted in September of that year.
Okay. Oh,
Once
wow.
once I had the ICD implanted, the heart function got better. The heart, it got up to, I want to say 45 pretty quickly after the implanted device, on many, many meds, which I am still on. Unfortunately, it's better, but I'm still on way too many meds as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, no.
But it's made my heart stronger and healthier. They finally let me start doing some very low mileage about a little under a year after I had the stroke in
Somebody
March.
saying hi to you in the chat room. It's from
Oh.
Lucretia. But yeah, Lucretia, if you can't hear me, sweetie, I sent you the link. She wants to join the conversation. If you can, I sent it to you on Facebook. Facebook is really sketchy, so it may not let you in, but I sent you the link just in case you wanted to join, Miss Lomax.
Thank you for putting us together.
Okay, no problem. We love you. I'm loving everything you're saying, because if people don't know this, if you have friends who or coworkers who've not heard this story, you need to share this, because this has enlightened me to a lot. I'm going to share it with my family members who I know may not have seen this live, because we don't. I have an uncle that died from a cavity. He had a heart attack. And now that you're saying this, it makes sense. I was like, how could he die from a heart? He had an infection. He didn't like the dentist, never went to the dentist, and he died because he had a cavity and did not want to go to the dentist.
And that bacterial infection gets into your bloodstream, and there it is.
Yep. Oh, wow. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. You were talking about your train of thought, how you were recovering and just.
Yes. So just going to lots of doctor's appointments, unfortunately, because some of the medications you're put on have to be overseen a lot.
Right.
But I appreciated the fact that, so many people cared.
Right.
My husband, I had a great support system. My husband was really there for me. The kids were super there for me. It was just my daughter-in-law currently. We just had so much going on that year. My sister had a set of twins in May of that year. In April of that year, my father passed. We never told him that I had a stroke. I made sure they kept that from him because he had his own thing going on medically. He had cancer. So I needed him to focus on his health. But unfortunately, he passed in April, approximately a month after my stroke. I would walk in backwards with my stroke pack on so he wouldn't see it. So we just did things I didn't want him to be burdened with, but then it made me, like, he's that old, like I said, country doctor. He's a diagnostician that will just look at you and like figure things out down to what the root of the problem is, not just medically trying to treat it with pills and shots and things like that. He and his best friend Chuck McElroy, they were just supreme diagnosticians who needed to know what the root of the problem was. And we so are missing that with so much being computerized about medicine these days, and them just, doctors, unfortunately, learning through a different system and only wanting to spend so much time with you because they have a lot to do. I get that, but I need you to get to the root of me. I need to know what's going on with me. And so before I had the implant done, I had a list of about 35 questions to ask that doctor, and actually solicited questions on Facebook, like, what would you ask?
Really?
I was like, oh no, he said, I'm going to set up this question and answer with you before we have the surgery to implant. I was like, okay. And I walked in with an iPad that had about 35 questions on. That man leaned back and put his feet up because he saw he was in for it. And I think we just need to be as aware as possible because these are our bodies. We need to know as much. Get on the internet and find out as much as you can. Ask your doctor. Be front loaded with questions if you need to. But again, until someone says something that sparks that, hey, those are connected. Like I had no idea the dental and the heart were connected until, I'm sure there are signs all over my dentist office that I just never paid any attention to until Dr. McDonald put those two things together verbally for me.
Oh, wow. This is incredible. Anybody who is just joining this in progress, I have to recap a little bit of what she said, because I have lived this through the testimony of my uncle who passed away from dental. And she is saying to us that you must go to the dentist because do you believe, or this is fact, that your dental caused you to have the stroke because of there was infection under the cap?
I believe that bacterial infection is what led to my heart being infected and losing its energy and losing the ability to contract in the percentage that it should. That's why it was down at 25%, because of the infection that had gone through my bloodstream to my heart. And the doctors and my dentist both agreed with that.
Now, so you have a defibrillator, right?
Correct.
And you're still running with your defibrillator?
I do. Now, the first time I ran with it, I was so nervous. I wasn't moving my shoulders because I felt like it was going to be like Plinko, like I was going to run and it was going to go down my body. So I was running and trying not to move my upper body, but I've gotten used to it since then. And yeah, I still run. I recently found out we had a heat wave here in Los Angeles in September. And I left my watch at home, and my watch is what tells me my heart rate. Right, and I knew I'm not supposed to get my heart rate over 170 because that'll make the defibrillator go off. And I was it hadn't gone off since it was implanted in 2015. And I was very nervous about that. And I was doing a run, super hot. I was proud of myself for keeping up my pace, which I shouldn't have been doing. It's hot. You're supposed to lower your pace. And I didn't have my watch on, so I didn't know where my heart rate was. And so I do what's called intervals. I run a little, I walk a little. And I was going towards the walk interval, and all of a sudden it felt like someone punched me from the inside of my body. Ooh. And I was like, oh, that's it. And I froze and started to breathe very deeply, which lowered my heart rate, because I felt if I didn't get my heart rate down immediately, even though I didn't know what it was because I didn't have my watch, but if I didn't get my heart rate down immediately, it would go off again. And I was so nervous. So I got the heart rate down, went to the end of the run where there was an EMT, told the EMT what happened. He asked me to hang close to him. And so I then told my cardiologist what happened. They told me to come in. We found out that my implant was not set properly because I was healthier, because my heart rate was better. They should have moved it up to 200 instead of keeping it at the 170. Okay. So they did move that. But again, you have to go, you have to let your team of doctors. I have a neurologist for my stroke for the brain. I have a cardiologist. I have an electrophysiologist for the implant, and I have a regular primary care physician. So I have a team that hooks me up and they take care of me, and I fuss with them sometimes, but they're all there on my side.
Oh, wow. This is incredible. I did, when you were recommended, I didn't know it was going to be this informational. I am just really intrigued because now it's making me fearful, which is good, because when we're not paying attention to things is when things happen. And so now I know that my dentist keep on me about replacing those 2 crowns will get done. And I mean, I'm going to make that a priority because I'm scared now. And heart disease run in my family because my dad has had 2 bypass surgeries. The first one was 5 bypasses. Then the second one was 2 bypasses. And then that's when they took the vein out of his leg and had to reconstruct stuff. And then he had 2 heart attacks. And the reason he had the major heart attack that year in December, it was at my house with my husband and myself, and the family was there. He had a small heart attack that May. Mm-hmm. And that small heart attack gave him a false sense of security. Oh, it was just a small one. He didn't change any routines, didn't do anything differently, but started medication and didn't change routines. Oh. And so when he got on the Coumadin, he got on the Coumadin and decided in December, a few weeks before Christmas, he'll stop taking it so he can have a Christmas drink. And it sent him into a heart attack.
Yes.
Major heart attack.
Those blood
The
thinners
hospital
are
for a
very
week.
necessary. Oh,
Yeah.
bless his heart.
Yeah. But then you had to stop everything you were doing. You had to stop cold turkey. And that's because first of all, men are hard-headed. African-American men are even more hard-headed and don't pay attention to their bodies and just, oh, I'm fine. I feel fine. But the inner works are happening behind the scenes and you don't know it.
Absolutely.
And you don't know it. And you don't know it.
That's the thing with with my biological father. He had heart disease as well. He has passed as well. And my mother has high blood pressure. I have high blood pressure. My siblings have had a few heart issues, so we have it in the family as well. That was the whole thing. My younger brother, when I had the stroke, I didn't know about eyes back then. They currently have changed the spotting a stroke to be fast and
yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They didn't have eyes until 2 years after I had my stroke. So I didn't know vision was an issue with stroke. I wasn't looking out for that. So I assumed that my brother, because he was at that moment, like just maybe a month before that, had been diagnosed as being pre-diabetic, and they told him to change his ways and things like that. And I said, oh, Lord, this fool done brought the sugars to the family. And so I thought that's what's wrong with my eyes. I just knew it. I was so mad. But that it turned out not to be. So after my stroke, my older siblings are starting to have some heart issues. So I'm like, everybody to the doctor today. So,
but see, that's how I am with cancer, and nobody in my family has cancer. So I'm just like, where did this come from? So the doctor said it was environmental. So, I can only speak to my situation because nobody else in my family is experiencing this. But now I always thought it would be heart disease because my dad had it and his brother had it. And, and you're just thinking, oh, this is the one that you have to look out for. And it is due to dental, but the history, I don't know. My doctor is now telling me, look at your cholesterol because you're a prime candidate for heart disease. I'm like, we have to worry about so much just to be on this earth this little time.
So much. And unfortunately, things like preservatives in our food are making it that much worse. Microwaving and the plastics we're putting things in, all of that is just making things go up exponentially. There was a time where cancer was not talked about a lot. That cancer was not as pervasive as it is. And, we did things a lot more naturally back in those times. But as we've stopped that and started using more rapid techniques and more rapid food and more, the preservatives to keep things fresh and, all of that, unfortunately, that's having a direct correlation with our health. The unfortunate part is we can buy organically, but not everyone can afford to purchase.
That's the thing. It is so much more expensive to be healthy. That's why junk food runs off the shelf. And I'm not talking about, I don't want to harp on the fact that people are low income, but low income people tend to buy and I don't want to say it's a class thing because I like my junk food too, but they have more of a tendency to buy junk food because it's cheaper. And I can give my kids this and they're satisfied. But what they don't really realize is that the sugar makes you crave more sugar. And you eat
the same with
junk food. Yes.
And that's the thing. And not only that, what's in it? I mean, you can buy 10 mini tacos for $2.99, but that's not meat.
Yeah.
I watched I shouldn't have watched it, but I watched all that Pink Sludge video. So that's not all meat anymore. So that's, that's how they can do it so cheaply. But unfortunately, that goes into our body and we're not exactly sure what all's in that.
And see, that's why I stick to my seafood and it's giving me high cholesterol. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But I'd rather be damn grown and alive.
I'll fight the gout.
Yes, and listen, I'll be honest with you. I have to really just stop eating McDonald's burgers. I don't know if that's real meat or not. I will go to McDonald's and all I will get is fries and a shake. My husband's just looking at me and the kids are looking at me. You don't want a hamburger? No, I don't want that. I don't know if that's really meat or not. And I know the chicken nuggets are not meat, so I don't eat that anymore. So listen to me when I tell you I fries and a milkshake. That's it.
And I'm just fries. I'm with you, but I am just fries. I don't know what the rest of it is, but I believe that that's a potato.
So now what you up to? I know you've gone through you were getting healthy just because you wanted to before the stroke, and then during the stroke you just became this iron woman afterwards. So what happened? What's happening with you now?
I'm in BGR. I just came back from the BGR meetup that they had in Canton, Ohio. I intervaled and finished. I want to say my time was a 2:48, but it might have been in the 2:50s. Don't catch me telling them truth.
For what? For how long was the race?
A half marathon, 13.1. I love getting my students at school. We have about 20 students per year that we get ready to do the LA Marathon, which is the 26.2 miles. We start training with them in August and they do the marathon in March. And so this was our 5th year of doing that. So I enjoy doing that. And I'm the 14-minute pacer for SRLA. And these kids, the look on their face when they complete the marathon is a gift. That I thank you for the great time, Lucretia. But it is a gift that I can't repay, and I will come back year after year as long as my body lets me. And I will continue to do the LA Marathon with those students. It is such a pleasure to see approximately 3,700 kids who are middle school and high schoolers achieve a task that when they first start in August, they just think that there's no way. But by the time they finish in March and complete that marathon and cross the finish line, there are tears of joy. They put that in other parts of their life, things that they thought that they couldn't do in other parts of their life, their schooling, college, things like that. And it is just amazing to see it happen in their bodies.
Listen, you two are inspiring me. Y'all got me all teary-eyed right now. She talking about she finished her marathon in 3 hours. I'm like 13 and a half miles. I'm gonna still be running when it's nighttime. Y'all don't have to come get me. I don't understand this. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm getting ready to have a second hip surgery because the cancer, we want to live, and the will to live sometimes is greater than what's going to happen to your body later. So I developed severe arthritis in my joints. So I've had my left hip replaced. I've had back surgery for the screws to be put in my back between 3 and 4 and 4 and 5. Now this right hip, honey, and I know it's time. I'm scheduled for June 13th.
Okay.
But I know it's time because the medicine that I'm currently on is not working.
Okay.
And so I'm walking down the hall today limping, trying to get to my destination because, and I tried to just stay in my office because it got really bad. It got really bad today, and the pain shooting down my leg and going to my calf. I know it's the hip. So, but there's no excuse. Oh, don't feel sorry for me, honey.
No,
I'm looking at you too.
Anyone to be in pain.
No, baby. I'm looking at you too, and y'all are inspiring me. And I hope you're inspiring somebody else behind the scenes that we are going to do at least a 5K. I've never done a 5. Yes, I did with the church. My time was horrible, but I did it many years ago when we first got here with the church, and the time was horrible. It was horrible. But
it's not about the time. Your race, your pace. You finish in your time. And then you race against you the next time. You get that time for that 5K. The next 5K, you just try to better yourself. It might only be better by 1 second, but it's better. And so that way you're racing against you, not other people. And Miss Lucretia says she finished her first full that she did January 19th in 7 hours and 21 minutes. Go on, Miss Lomax. Woo-hoo.
All hail to you guys because y'all inspire me. And I went back to work after 3 weeks with the first hip surgery. Okay. That is my goal. Well, it'll be over the summer this time. So my goal is to be up and moving around in 3 weeks. But I think I got to find me a 5K at least in August or September. I got to do something. I don't like just not succeeding or not trying things. And so you ladies are inspiring me. I'm not a runner. I've never been a runner. But
you don't have to run. No. Again, movement. It's not about running. It's about moving. And even if you're walking at a decent pace for 20 minutes, that will do so much for your body, slimming and trimming and getting your metabolism going, because after a certain age, we know our metabolism slows down. If you're not feeling it in your legs that day, just make your arms move, because the legs will do what the arms do.
Yeah.
And fake it till you make it. Get out.
Oh wow. Okay. So ladies, I'm gonna recap this. So we're getting ready to wrap it up, but I could go on forever. When I tell you, thank you, Lucretia, for introducing me to this young lady right here. I'm so thrilled because her story should touch the lives of many people. We got to get off the sofa and stop saying what we can't do. But the biggest reason we're here is to know your bodies. Yes. To know your body. If your body is going to tell you things, and we, for the most part, we ignore it. And we just keep going on and on and on. But one thing about being on a job, you pass away, they're going to replace you. They're going to, if not replace you the next day, they're going to advertise your job the next day. So we got to stop letting the job be the place that we stop and our lives stop. I don't believe that. That's why I look forward to my Wednesday nights talking to people who you're on the other side of the United States of America. I'm in Tampa, Florida. She's in Los Angeles. And we're having this conversation. And with technology, I should be able to meet many people. So if you guys have somebody out there who's an ordinary person but has an extraordinary story to tell, just introduce them to me, send them my way. I don't care what it's about. And I know you two are medical people and have that medical history. I don't care what it's about. If they have a story to tell, just tell them to call me or reach out to me on my email, scurry.latasha@gmail.com, because I really want to tell people's story. Because what my husband and my brothers don't understand, they say, you just talk. I better tell my story before somebody else tell it, because they might tell it wrong. So I am so happy to have spoken with you. And to recap what she's saying, before the stroke, she was getting in shape, thought she was healthy, had a stroke. And the day that she had a stroke, she ran a marathon, not knowing what was happening to her. After the marathon, she went to the hospital, told her husband something's not right. That's the important thing with the stroke. Early. Get to the doctor. Time is of the essence. You have to get to the doctor to know, for them to be able to intervene. Right. And then after all of that, she's now just completed another full marathon. So her stroke happened in March. I know it's May. We're celebrating her stroke versary. And she's appreciating life. And she's able to share this with you guys because time. She went in and she made it happen. So is there anybody that inspires you before we wrap this up? There's a favorite quote that you have, or just something you want to give, some advice you want to give to the audience before we leave?
Oh, my favorite quote is always, be the change you wish to see in the world. I just love that quote by Gandhi. And so that's why, as you said, when I'm out with people, whether we're on the pavement or doing whatever, I try to tell them a little bit about what happened to me. So if I can prevent it from happening to even one person, I will have done well. Awesome. So be the change.
All right. Miss Lucretia, I had to end with this one. Stay optimistic and don't let it stop you. I'm not. I'm a busybody. I may not be able to run a full marathon when it's done, but I am going to get my behind off of the sofa and get to moving. That's the story, and I'm sticking with it. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to wrap this up, but I'm going to share with you a little more fact before we leave. Stroke is a leading cause of death of Americans, but the risk of having a stroke varies with race and ethnicity. Risk of having a first stroke is nearly twice as high for non-Hispanic Black adults as for white adults. And non-Hispanic Black adults and Pacific Islanders adults have the highest rates of death due to stroke. The death rate for stroke increased from 38.8 per 100,000 in 2020 to 41.1 per 100,000 in 2021. Just 1 year. Just 1 year. So first, I want to say thank you to my fantabulous guest, Miss Shirl Van Der Plas. I hope I'm saying it right.
You are, and thank you for having me. Such a pleasure. I really thank you.
Yes, ma'am. It has been really amazing. Also, I want to thank Lucretia Lomax for recommending you as a guest. Next week, same time, same place, join me as I celebrate Physical Fitness Month with Carrie Parks, bodybuilder at 55, as he shares his story. Okay. I am always looking for ordinary persons with extraordinary stories to tell. Please email me at scurry.latasha@gmail.com. I'm Latasha Scurry, your domesticated diva. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I whisper in your ear, good night. Bye.